Welcome to another episode of the Added Time video guide series. In this episode we will show you how to add and amend qualification details on the system and then assign these qualifications to a contact, such as a coach. So let's get started by looking at the qualifications themselves. You set up qualifications on the system by clicking on the Settings menu option and then clicking on the Qualifications menu option. The qualifications summary page is displayed, listing the qualifications you have set up on the system. When you first start using the system, this summary will be empty, and you can see here that we have already set up a number of qualifications for our fictitious coaching company, Coaching Program Limited. Let's take a look at one of the existing qualifications, which we can do by clicking on the name. In this case, we're going to have a look at the coach license. On the left of the screen is the general details for the qualification. As you can see, you can set the title, give it a description, and assign a unique reference to the qualification. You can link a qualification to a specific discipline, and here you can see we have set up 4 sports as disciplines for our fictitious company. You can assign a qualification to a type, and these types can be set up by you on the System Settings page. You can assign the period for which the qualification will be valid for, and the system will use this to monitor expiry dates for you so you don't have to remember. The active from and to dates enable you to state for what time period this qualification will be available for. Leaving the dates the same will mean it is indefinitely available, as in this case. We can also assign a display order to our qualification so that we can control in what order the qualifications are listed on the system. The system can also be set up to enable you to assign a qualifying number of credits to a qualification. They have to be attained in order to be granted the qualification. On the right of the screen, you can assign an unlimited number of training criteria to the qualification and state as to whether these are requirements for the qualification to be passed. In this instance, we have assigned 3 training criteria to the qualification and set all of them as required: child protection, references, and first aid. The system will track these criteria, and we can set the system to only mark the person as having passed this qualification when they actually meet the criteria. This can, of course, also be overridden manually as required. You can enter an unlimited number of criteria to use by clicking on the Training menu option in the Settings main menu option. There is a separate video episode on the website to show you how to do this. You can click on a criteria to edit or delete it, and you can click on the Add New Training Criteria button to add a new one to this list. Once you've set up the details, click on the Save button to save the details, and then you are returned to the Qualifications summary page. You click on the Add New Qualification button to add a new qualification to the system. Once you have set up your qualifications, you can then assign them to your contacts. It is important to note that you will only be able to assign qualifications to contacts who belong to a role which has been set up to display qualification details. For details on how to set up roles, watch the Adding a New Contact episode. On our fictitious company system example, we have set up the role coach to have qualifications, so any contact we assign to the coach role will allow us to assign qualifications to them. Let's add a new contact to the system who is going to be a coach in our company. Click on the Add New Individual menu option in the Contacts menu to display the Add New Individual page and enter the details. Assign the contact to the coach role and click on the Save button. The system will then display the contact details screen for our new contact. On the right-hand side of the screen, you will see that the page is showing us that our new person has no qualification or training details as yet, and that there is a plus icon beside each of these sections. This is a shortcut button which will enable us to quickly display the Add New Qualification for the contact page. On the Add New Qualification page, select the relevant discipline for the qualification whose details you wish to record. For this example, we are going to record that Hannah has just been granted a coach license in tennis. For the purposes of this example, we're going to mark Hannah as a pass. We then enter the start date of the license, and the system will then calculate the expiry date, which will be dependent on what we have set the valid period for this qualification. In this case, we earlier set the coach license to be valid for 12 months. We can add any relevant comments to the comments field, and then click on the Save button to save the details for Hannah. In the enterprise version of the system, you can also automatically scan in their qualification certificate to store with their details. The system then displays the qualification summary page for this contact, and you will see that we have pending criteria for the license. This is because in this case we manually overrode the status of the license to make it a pass. If we had left the status as pending, the system would only have marked the license as a pass once all of the required criteria had been met. Click on the Return to Contact Details to go back to the Contact Details page for the contact, and you will see our new qualification. You can expand the qualification to see further details such as expiry date, which is now being tracked by the system, and we can simply double-click on the qualification if we want to amend the details. You can even add criteria specific to the person. Let's say, for example, they need to pass additional criteria before they can be granted the qualification. You would do this by clicking on the Add New Training Criteria button. In this example, we're going to require Hannah to also attend and pass an equity and sport workshop. Click on the Save button, and you will see the system returns us to the qualification summary for Hannah, and you can see equity and sport as a required criteria. To amend the details of any of the required criteria, click on any of the information in the qualification. This will take you to the Edit Qualifications Details page. Click on the training criteria you want to amend. In this case, we're going to change first aid from pending to pass. Click on the Save button, and the system will return us back to the qualification summary. You can now see first aid is marked at pass. We're now going to return to the contact details page. Another way of marking the criteria as pass or fail is by adding them to the training attended section. If we were to add a child protection entry in the training attended section and marked it as pass, this would automatically also mark as passed the child protection entry for the coach license. As you can see, the system will automatically track these as required. Thank you for listening to this episode, and we hope you found it useful. You can subscribe to our monthly newsletter full of tips and hints on how to get the best out of added time at www.intoaddedtime.com.